Are we on? Hello, everybody. We're going to start with a call to order. And who's going to do that? Okay. All right. And Mr. Bennett's going to read the statement of purpose.
All right, the statement of purpose. May our decisions today be made with wisdom, careful deliberation, and in the best interest of the city of Diamond Head. May we display patience and kindness in our dealings with each other and all who are in attendance, and may any decisions made today promote the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Diamond Head and the enhancement of the city as a whole.
Was I supposed to do this thing? Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And Ms. Christie, would you start us with that?
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner DeBrow, Commissioner Cook, Commissioner Torgerson,
Aye.
Commissioner Bennett,
Present.
Commissioner Lael, Commissioner Nico, Chairman Flowers.
Okay. Any adjustments to the agenda this evening? Or confirm what we've got on? Is that what the next thing is? Yeah.
None from the staff.
Okay, none from the staff. Any comments? No, no, okay. We're gonna, can we
need a motion to approve the agenda.
make a motion to approve the agenda?
Move.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, can we postpone the approval of the minutes to next month from last month? Is that possible? How do I do that?
It is. So if someone will just make a motion to table the approval of the minutes, someone second it, and you all vote, we can do it that way.
I'll make the motion to
Table.
the minutes. For the
Table.
next meeting.
Okay. Let's see.
All in favor? Aye. And then I'm gonna explain why, because the couple of the commissioners that were here, we wouldn't have as many, weren't all the four of us weren't here last month, so okay.
And you gotta have four so we can make it.
Right. Four that were in attendance at the last meeting, so that's why. Okay, we're moving on right to new business, I guess. Am I gonna read all that? Are you gonna read it, Pat? Mr. Rich? Or Mike?
If you so desire, sir, I will.
I would appreciate that. That's
All right.
that's
Well, before I start that, I would like to say tonight we have a new planning zoning commissioner here, Christy Nico. She's new. Also, we have a new one, Ginger Cook. She could not be with us tonight because she has COVID, along with another one of our commissioners. So. And hopefully for the next meeting, Todd, we will have another new commissioner. So this very well could be Todd's last meeting. So
3 years, 3 months, 4 days, and 2 hours. But I've enjoyed every minute of it.
And now you see why we've never let him chair a meeting.
Yeah, you want to hear? I tell you a couple jokes quick.
No.
that's okay. That's okay.
All right.
So
New business.
Todd, while we're here, thank you for your contributions. Thanks for your service. Thanks for staying on after your term has expired. Because as you see, without you, we'd only be 3, and we'd have to call it off. So.
Well, I've enjoyed it, and you guys do a great. There's a lot more moving parts in this that anybody realizes, and these folks make it happen right here. And of course, and welcome Christy Nico. I've known her forever, so.
All right. The only item of business tonight is the City of Diamond Head, represented by J. Pat Rich, Development Coordinator, has filed an application requesting a text amendment in accordance with the zoning ordinance, Article 2.8, Amendment Rezoning Procedures. The proposed text amendment is to add a short-term rental ordinance. The proposed changes will be in Article 3.2, definitions, add short-term rental. The rental or lease of an attached or detached residential dwelling unit to guests for a duration not to exceed 30 consecutive days. Article 4.21.1, conditions governing permitted uses, table 4.2, add short-term rental, use by Planning Commission review in R1, R2, R3, R4, and not allowed in other zoning classifications. Add conditions as note 17 after table 4.2. 17, short-term rentals shall be required to meet the following minimum standards. This section does not abrogate the application of private covenants and restrictions that may be applicable to a site. A, the owner or designated manager shall permanently reside within the city limits of Diamond Head. B, short-term rentals shall be separated by 1,000 square feet except in R3 and R4. C, the minimum stay in a short-term rental shall be 2 nights. D, no accessory structure shall be permitted for use as a short-term rental. E, occupancy shall be limited to a maximum of 2 persons per bedroom. F, all parking shall be provided off-street. Parking in any yard except on a paved drive is prohibited. G, the outward appearance of a short-term rental shall be indistinguishable from that of a residence. Signage related to the activity is prohibited. H, proof of code compliance, fire safety measures, adequate water and sewage service, or other utilities or infrastructure shall be supplied. I, annual compliance inspection. J, current privilege license issued by the city. K, payment of all applicable taxes. The case file number is 2022-00281.
Chair, may I make a comment?
Yes,
I did catch when you, Mr. Pat was reading it, and the separation distance, what was stated was 1,000 square feet.
No, I'm sorry, you're
It
right.
should be linear feet.
then you, okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, it says 1,000 feet. I
Yeah.
threw in a square
Okay.
feet in there.
make note that that's 1,000 linear feet. Yeah. Linear.
Yes, linear.
Okay. The rest we move on to public comments. Is that right?
Well, how about, let's say how we got here first.
Okay. Hey,
All
yeah.
right.
Okay.
How we got here. All right, just as a little education, this all started in the 4th quarter of 2021 in a land far away. A conditional use was requested for a short-term rental on a Fairway Drive residence, residence on Fairway Drive. It went through the Planning Zoning Commission, and then it went to the council. The council refused, denied the permit, and issued a moratorium on conditional use short-term rentals, and requested that we hire Orion Strategies to come up with an ordinance for us. Okay. In April, that was in January of 21 that the council did that. In April of 21, we received from Orion memo number 1, which was planning consideration. They suggested that we define where we are as far as short-term rentals are concerned. What is a short-term rental? Where does it go within the city? How do we regulate it, and how do we license it? So they set that up as the objectives of what they were going to do. And then the next step was input from the community, okay? Then we came in June of 21 with memo number 2, permission to draft an amendment for public comment. Then that resulted in December coming out with memo 3, It had definitions after doing a survey, et cetera. It had the definitions of what is a short-term rental, which we put in here. The table 4.2, the chart of uses where a short-term rental would be allowed, which we've included in here. The conditions, do we regulate it? That's included with the table number 17, the notes in the table 17. And then they did a survey, and the basic outcome of that survey for the residents was approximately 60% were for regulations like this, 40% were against. And then we came to March of this year with a final recommendation, okay? And now we are where we are. So,
So the reason the city denied it because there was no ordinance in place, or there was no true or fair definition of short-term rentals. That's the reason why they denied it.
that's correct. They wanted a short-term rental ordinance in place, so, and it manufactured and run through the planning commission, gone through the residents to get their input before we brought it to the council, and then it be enacted into our ordinances and become law then, okay? Instead of coming up with, okay, this one we can do here, and the next one that comes up, well, we can't do that. Instead of having a hodgepodge, have a set of regulations and ordinances that said this is where we're gonna have it, how we're gonna have it, how we're gonna regulate it, et cetera. Any other questions?
I just have one question about the, it addresses R1, R2, R3, R4.
Correct.
It doesn't nothing to do with the commercial district then?
Commercial district is not residential usage.
So, okay, I get it. So, like a hotel motel would be considered that's a whole different ballgame, I guess, so.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted everybody else to,
Yeah,
know
that's a great question and a great point to bring out. This is for residential usage only.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Because I think there is one or two commercial businesses that have like an apartment overhead over their building, I'm not sure.
Yes, there are.
So this would exclude them.
That's correct.
okay.
Okay. Before we go to that, did anybody else want to sign up to speak? There's only one person left. You still good? No? Okay. Very good.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we're gonna have public comments now. Mr. Don Walter. Yeah, and Mr. Walter, if you state your name and address, please.
Sure. My name is Don Walter. I live at 7608 Fairway Drive. And I've got a couple concerns that I'd like to present. First of all, I want to thank Pat. Thank you all for being here and doing your job. Pat, thank you for sending me the package last week. I haven't had a chance to go through it completely, and the first thing I want to ask for is an extension of the decision that you might make tonight for another month so I can get it out to the people in Fairway Estates. Just, it's a pretty extensive package, looking at all the three different packages that Orion presented, and I just think we need a little more time to absorb it. At the meeting that the mayor and the city council voted to put a moratorium on short-term rentals, she directed or asked for Orion to do the study. The study was done evidently, but she also requested that Orion pay a special attention to certain parts of Diamond Head, such as Fairway Estates, which is where this originated at, just like Pat said, and Glen Eagle. As far as I know, Orion, nobody from Orion touched base with anybody that I know in Fairway Estates. I know they didn't contact me, and I was kind of the Fairway Estates lead on the concern for this short-term rental in our community. Those are two things. what I've read of the ordinance, I've got a couple questions on. In some of the tables, and Pat, you could probably address this. In the R1 section, in the tables where it was listed as conditional use, C, it seems to be under R now for right. I'm not sure what that right means.
R is review.
Review, okay. So that's review by city council?
Planning and zoning.
Okay, okay. So that
Wait a minute.
resolves that.
Okay. I'm sorry. Can you reference where you're talking about?
It was one of the
Because-
tables towards the back,
Towards the back.
in the Orion, in that,
I think it's this one.
Okay.
and the table used to say C for conditional use.
And now it says P
P.
for Planning Commission review.
Oh, okay, I missed that one. See, that's,
Okay.
didn't have time to review it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's P for Planning Commission review.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I thought I saw an R in a previous version, but, okay. So it's changed, but it's enhanced a little more.
Correct.
Okay. And actually, go ahead.
Excuse me, one second. Mr. Pat, do you mind sharing with them, what planning commission review
Means.
means?
All right.
It means it doesn't go to the city council.
Right,
Okay.
right. So the difference between conditional use, which is what we had,
Mhm.
okay, was that each case was considered on its own.
Mhm.
And you could put conditions on each case.
I see.
All right? Planning Commission review says, okay, we look at this and we look at what our ordinances state, and does it apply, does it meet those ordinances? So it's not this one we do one way, this one we do.
Yeah, you've got a
it's-
standard way of addressing it.
The other difference is, conditional use goes to the council, is recommended by this body, and goes to the council for their final approval. Planning Commission review, it does not go to the council, okay? But anything in Planning Commission review, you do have the ability to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Appeal it to the city
Appeal it to the
council.
city council, okay?
So does
So
that
it
mean?
doesn't automatically, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Does that mean that the planning and zoning issues the permit then, or approves the permit?
Approves the permit,
Okay.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
so that's a significant difference.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, my final item, and I hope that this is okay to present this. As far as I could tell in the provision, there were no, or in the articles that are written, I didn't see anything in the event that I know we've had some in the past. There were some citations issued, and if a citation is issued, if there's, let's say, if there's a method to say, if they get 3 citations within a year, you pull the permit. Is there anything like that in there?
No, there is not,
Okay. I would request that.
but that
That'd
is
be
a good
considered.
point.
That's a
that
very
be
good point.
considered. And I would suggest 3 strikes and you're out in a year, and pull a permit for 2 years. That's my recommendation. And that's all I have. Thank you for
Very
hearing
good.
me.
Thank you, Mr. Walters.
Appreciate it.
We ready for the next? Okay. Miss Angela Moran?
Hi, I'm Angela Moran. I live in Waveland, and I had a question. In the paper, the announcement said that you had to live in Diamond Head. This now says the owner or property manager. So that was really the main reason for my appearance tonight. Having a manager here is sufficient. Did that change, though? Last time I was here, I thought it was Hancock County. Because it cost us money to hire a manager when you
Well-
can do it yourself.
Do you want to answer that? Or?
Yes,
Mr.
that was a change that Orion had made,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. And that's pretty consistent with what other localities are doing. saying, or at least if they're not in the city, within a distance, certain radius of the city, okay?
So I don't know if this is the proper procedure, but I would certainly like to request you consider within a certain period of, or distance. I probably live 17 miles from mine and can service it fine. I do business in Diamond Head as part of my day job. And, you know, I can hire a property manager because I'm the type to follow rules and I'm not gonna fight City Hall. And I'll hire a manager if necessary, but I feel like I'm very competent to, you know, not have to pay that and manage it myself if possible. And I do live near the property. I also find these Orion suggestions very consistent with the licenses issued by the city of Pass Christian. They're almost verbatim. Again, I live in Waveland, and Pass Christian had no issue giving us licenses, and we certainly follow the rules over there as well. So, the only other questions I had, payment of applicable taxes. Can you elaborate on, are you just talking about property taxes on the home or collecting taxes on the rents?
It's not exactly spelled out in this
Okay.
for right now. Now, your taxes, the only taxes you would have at this point in time would be, I mean, if you rent something, that's an income tax, right?
Right. Do I have to show you my tax returns to get a privilege license, or are you just wanting to see that VRBO collects taxes, like sales tax from the guests staying there?
I think the concern was that we, if and when there becomes a hotel motel tax,
Mm-hmm.
that you would be on a level and equal field with that. To my knowledge, Hancock County, the county, and the city does not have a hotel motel tax.
Okay, so it's tax
At this
on the
point.
rents then? It's tax on the rents?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
That's a good question, because I was thinking maybe you had to be caught up on your property taxes to be able to, so that's kind of my mindset, what I was thinking.
And what I did for the city of Pass Christian is just simply show them of the RBO statement showing they were, that entity was collecting taxes, not me. But that was several years ago, so things may have changed within the hotel motel rules that I'm not aware of. And then letter H, proof of code compliance, fire safety measures, adequate water and sewer. Are you just wanting to do like a walkthrough before you issue the license?
Very similar to what we do with hotels. We do an annual inspection with hotels where we
Mhm.
walk through and make sure that your fire extinguishers are
Yes, sir.
okay. Fire extinguishers, smoke alarms, carbon dioxide alarms, no bars on the window.
Right.
Do you have the hurricane shutters or whatever? Pools, do you have them properly fenced? The latches on them, very similar to what we would do with a hotel, is what we're talking about doing with.
So you're gonna
the
do
home.
it before you issue the license and then every year after?
An annual basis,
Okay.
yes. That would be the building
The fire
department, in
department?
conjunction with the fire department, just as we do now with hotels. We do that jointly with them now.
Oh, that was really my questions, no more than comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna clarify something.
Thank you.
I don't think you have to hire a management person to, manage the property, correct?
That is not stated in the bill. It says
Right.
a management.
It could be, like we talked before, it could be a
Uh,
family member who lives in the area, or
just a point of contact, that is, right now, the way it says is a resident, okay?
That's just if something would come up in a short run to get a hold of somebody to,
That's right.
deal with
There's-
a quick-
Yes.
That's right.
The purpose of that is, if something happens, let's just speak the worst possible. Okay, you have a frat party at the house, okay? And there's all kinds of noise and beer drinking, cars parked all up and down the street. And so you call the police, and the police come out there and respond. The police would have on file a point of contact, who they could get out there in a short period of time and handle the situation. Okay? I understand what you're saying, yes. And that has some validity to it.
Okay. Miss Diane Brown?
I'm Diane Brown. I have a property at 209 Conavilla. Kind of a little late to the party, so we're catching up. Bay St. Louis has been having their meetings as well, so again, a lot of this is kind of following suit all along the Gulf Coast. So a lot of this is sounding fairly familiar. One of the things I was wondering, and this might have been up before and I'm not up to date, but the privilege license or the permit license, how much was that determined it's going to be?
The permit, it's based about $25, right?
21.
21. Okay, see, cheaper than I thought.
So it's the same as a business license?
Yes, it's
Okay.
same as business license. It's, you know, if you had a bunch of employees or if you had a whole bunch of inventory, then it goes up. But for small business
Small
like
business.
this, $21.
Okay. Good question on that. The other, we talked about as far as policing, how is this going to be like enforced and policed? Like if there's too many people in a house, and I know I'm exaggerating. I think the purpose behind this, you're looking at 20 people in a house as opposed to 6 people in a house. But, you know, some people are to the letter of the law. So how is this going to be policed overall?
It's the building department that would be in charge of that, okay? Whether it's code enforcement or whoever we assign that to. It might even fall under my umbrella, who we would assign that to. And then we would investigate every complaint that came in and determine if there was valid and if there were police reports, et cetera, et cetera. This is not to be a witch hunt or anything like that. It's to investigate complaints, determine if they are valid, and then let the property owner know that they were in violation or the people they were renting to were in violation.
Because that was, I think part of the question was kind of like the 3 strikes
The
and
3
you're out
strikes,
kind of rule.
yes.
Because that would
Yes.
be very, very easy for a disgruntled neighbor that really did not want an Airbnb in their neighborhood to bring in complaints, but they would need to be validated complaints.
As is any complaint that comes into the building department, whether it's building codes, whether it's compliance with what the ordinances are, you've got it illegal, this or that, they are thoroughly investigated to determine if there is, in fact, a violation of the ordinance, and then handled appropriately, okay?
One
Yeah,
other
and-
thing that was brought up in Bay St. Louis, just to bring up here as well. Of course, you already have ordinance, you have noise ordinance, assuming for the city, you have parking ordinances, all of those are already in place. A lot of the property managers aren't trained, I should say, in dealing with maybe drunken, disorderly crowds. So let's just say, let's say 90% of your Airbnbs, VRBOs, your short-term rentals, are going to be, you know, families compliant. You don't even know they're there. They behave better than most of your neighbors. But that 1 or 2 that slip through, that wanting to have that Mardi Gras party or the 4th of July party, and they get a little out of hand. Understanding you want somebody close by, but and just me sharing this, I think still whoever would, if it was just a neighbor and that wasn't running a short-term rental that had 20 people and cars parked all up and down the street and playing the music loud, however which way the police department and the building would handle them, I think should still handle the same way. They should be notified, hey, you're having a problem with your unit, but I think the police and how you handle things normally should still handle the same way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense, and I would expect that out of our police force too, and I'm sure that the captain, if he were here, would agree with you on that. We would handle it as any other complaint. but also notifying you,
Yes.
because then complaint would come, because they know what's going to be short-term rental properties.
Right.
Okay, it's in a database. So they'll know what's short-term rental properties, and then they would forward that back to the building department, whoever's in charge of compliance and enforcement, and then be handled appropriately from that
Gotcha.
standpoint. But
Yes.
I don't think we're expecting,
Just making sure.
yeah, because that becomes either a noise ordinance or drunk and disorderly, or, whatever it is.
And I can
that-
tell you, most of us who have short-term rentals, we don't want those, because those people tend to mess up our houses, and that
Correct.
costs us money.
Correct.
So we really don't like
We-
that, and we try not to, so.
We understand that, but there's also part of the screening process
Yes.
too. And not everybody is as good as that at
And
that as others.
sometimes they sneak through, so.
Yes,
And it's
right.
good when we know, because we can also give bad reviews to make sure those people don't come back in.
And to one of her points about property managers not being trained or knowing what to do, maybe we can come up with some kind of handbook or something that guides property managers, that if they run across certain issues, how to handle it, who to contact, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if that's.
Well, that's a very good point. That information should be two ways, as we were requiring them to provide certain information to their guests, people that rent. We provide that information to them so that they can in turn provide that to their guests. Okay.
Well, the other thing, the first responders will be the police department. It won't be the building department.
And I would
Our
rather,
investigation will be after the fact, so we just work to make the fact.
yeah, I would rather have any property manager, wait until the police who are trained to do their thing, and then come up and deal with the renter, by themselves after. But hopefully y'all won't have anything like that, so
Well, you expect the best, but plan for the worst.
there you go. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Okay. Now, commissioners' comments.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Don to clarify something he said a while ago. Just, one of your
Don?
concerns was, that Orion did not come to, Fairway Village or Glen Eagle to talk or.
Right. They,
So-
they sent out a survey, and I think the survey was available to all residents in Diamond Head.
Correct.
But in the city council meeting, the mayor directed them to what I interpreted as interviewing people in certain parts of the community. And as far as I'm concerned, they didn't do that.
Right, so you're saying, Glen Eagle, Fairway Village didn't really get a voice.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Other than the survey.
I'm gonna
And I
add-
don't know how many people addressed the survey.
I'm going to add one thing. We came up in a prior meeting, is that Fairway Villa and Glen Eagle have their own covenants, but in addition to the covenants of,
Not Fairway Villas, Fairway Estates.
Fairway Estates.
No.
They do have some, that came up in a prior
Well,
meeting.
it's a separate, section
HOA
of Diamond
or-
Head. Yeah, I can't, however, Diamond Head's divided into the
And-
sections that have covenants and are expiring and everything.
There was something brought up, though, that the HOA within the POA had some of their own covenants when it came to these,
Well, part of it says does not abrogate, okay, so.
because the
it-
city,
But,
yeah.
yes, so if the POA,
They'd have to-
HOA covenants are still in effect and in force, and they
They're still
specifically state that there's no short-term rentals, then that is the overriding, okay?
Yeah, and we fall under the POA, so,
Okay.
the general blanket POA from all of Diamond Head.
All right.
So we don't have our own covenants.
Glen Eagle, I believe, does.
Glen Eagle may, and I think Elliot's probably gonna too, but
Okay.
that's
don't
under
know.
review.
You
Okay.
said your covenants hadn't expired yet, correct?
No, that's correct. Yep. 2029.
Oh, so that would, y'all fall under the POA.
Right.
All right. Any other comments? Yeah, the question
Yeah.
was, how
The-
did the surveys, how were the surveys collected?
That was done, let's see, we did e-blast, we did, website, we did, I think there was announcement at probably the council meeting. I don't know, but it's impossible to have emails to all people, okay? So, I believe I got mine through e-blast, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm signed up for e-blast.
Yeah,
And I believe
I got mine that way too,
Yeah.
through an email.
Yeah. Yeah,
Looks like
120,
120 some odd.
yeah, 120, yeah.
122,
yeah.
which is
Oh, it was,
not everybody.
10,000. Okay, okay, if you're gonna ask a question, please, and state your name, please, ma'am.
My name is Betsy Lyons. I wanted to know, now I forgot my question. Yeah, I get flustered. Everybody on our street, which I live on Fairway Drive, we all do not want that on our street. And it's a dead-end street. There's not enough room for 2 cars to get in and out because it's like a triangle at the top of it. And so if there was a fire or something there, there's no way that people could get in if the streets are blocked. There's just no way. Because the street is so small and it goes to a dead end, so you can't go all the way through. You gotta turn around and come back. And so if there's fire trucks there, it's impossible for somebody to get by there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my question.
Well, and I'm gonna take this, but, the reason this all came to fruition is because we're trying to set up some reasonable guidelines so we don't just have random people buying properties in Diamond Head and setting up these
Right.
VRBOs. And, this was kind of a guide, like one of our previous, speakers or question asker, is similar to Pass Christian and Bay St. Louis and Gulfport. And we have to have some kind of guidelines or
Right.
it's gonna go wild. So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Correct. And you're right, your street is one way in, one way out, although you do have an entrance and an exit, but they're only for a short period of time, and then the main street, okay? And that's why one of the things we had in here is one of the requirements is no on-street parking. Everything's got to be off-street, okay? So that we're not encountering problems with emergency vehicles going down there.
Yeah, I understand that, but since we're a dead-end street, and say there's a fire in the middle, how are we going to get, I don't know. It's just an inconvenience,
Okay,
but I understand where you're coming from.
okay.
Well, ma'am, are you commenting that the neighborhood doesn't want any of those type of activities on your street? And so you're
all signed a petition, and we did.
Yes, and I have that petition where 40 of 42 property owners signed a petition, yes. I still have that in my file. You're welcome.
From a legal position, can we exclude an area? Like zoning has to be, can have exclusions.
It's, yeah, zone,
This
you're,
is in the zoning ordinance, as it states right now.
Yeah.
This would be a text of the zoning,
Yeah.
so we could exclude an area.
We
At least
did-
I don't think.
yeah, whatever we do would have to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, and it would have to be applied universally. So those are things that we could certainly, take a look at as we come up with this.
Okay, any other, Ms. Lael, you have a comment? yeah, if anybody has any suggestions on that, they could take it with the building code folks. Okay.
Any other questions, discussions? Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Acting Chairman, Mr. Commissioner, in light of the comments that we've received here tonight, I think we need to take this back and work on it a little bit more. Take some of these comments that we've heard, especially we're lacking some on the enforcement side here.
I do too.
And that's, if we're gonna do it, let's go ahead and do it right and do it first time and have everybody nodding their head that yes, if it's 3 strikes you're out or whatever it is. So I recommend that we table this until the staff has put together a more comprehensive ordinance that addresses these other issues.
One of the things I'd like to point out is that what Orion came up with after getting all of the comments from commissioners and doing their surveys was a very good update of our table of uses, our chart of uses, defining what the short-term rental is and what would be allowed. What's missing now, though, is an actual ordinance that says what that permit process looks like. And what the enforcement mechanisms are. So, for example, if there is a violation, what's the fine? What's the procedure? How does that work? It's not going to be, maybe 4 or 5 pages maximum. It doesn't have to be, that lengthy. But I think at this point, if we're going to include this in the chart of uses as Orion has got, and again, they've done a good job of that, taking all the comments from everybody, but I think now we need to add that statutory language that we can present to y'all to say, okay, this is how it will really work. Because I think that's what's some missing. I think we've got the outline, but all the questions that I've heard today and I've heard from y'all are, okay, how's this going to work? How's it, and that's where the ordinance itself would come in and not just an amendment to the table of uses.
So like tar and feather or something we'll do, that we start with.
I think that's a great
I mean,
idea.
a public
Flogging, yeah. all
flogging,
that.
yeah, okay, we'll get down to business of that, so. All right, so where do we move from here with,
I'll make a motion to table, I'd like to make a motion to table voting on this new ordinance or the short-term ordinance until we get more clarification, definitions of said wording we see in front of us.
okay, do we need a second, right? Okay. All right, do we have to do a roll call or just say all in favor?
Discussion first, if there's any.
Discussion, any? Okay, well, all in favor?
Okay, sorry.
Aye. Okay, any other announcements? Miss Betsy and I have a birthday we share on November 22nd, so that's going to be coming up. Invite you up for that. And the next city council meeting is Tuesday, July 5th? Is that?
Yeah.
2022. And city council. Next planning commission meeting is Tuesday, July 26th, 2022. And if we don't have anything else,
I have nothing else, sir.
we can adjourn. Thank you.
Motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, no, I can't do the first.
yeah, you can.
Okay, I motion we adjourn.
Yeah, second.
Second, okay. Done.